Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Voice of the Coast. Joining us today, Alyssa Muse, director of the Aviary Creature Rescue Center. Well, hopefully one day a sanctuary, but for just now, for now, a nonprofit volunteer service that has been going on in our area for quite a few years, and I'm sure everybody appreciates what you do for the area.
Thank you. We appreciate the community support. It's truly a grassroots effort, and we couldn't do it without them.
When I see that name, Aviary Rescue, automatically I start thinking about birds. But you didn't start with birds, or you do handle birds, but you handle a lot of animals.
Right. So it actually started with my art studio. I named it the Aviary because I love birds. I love painting birds, and I knew I wanted a name that meant sanctuary for me. I was coming out of an oil and gas career, and it was a wild switch, and I was focusing on things that actually were fulfilling. So when we started the rescue, I knew I wanted the name to be right there with it. And since we don't just do dogs, we went with Aviary Creature Rescue. So now we do dogs, wildlife, anything in need, really, cats. But the cats are largely handled by our community partner, ARC Advocate and Rescue. But yeah, so Aviary just means sanctuary.
So this wasn't something that you studied, like some kind of veterinary study. This is just a passion for you.
It just happened really, really weirdly and organically. I had just moved back to Louisiana, and I saw a post around Christmas time saying, get animals out the shelter for the holidays, give them a home. So I reached out to Carla Cates, who was with the prior rescue group at the time. And she said, look, there's this little pit bull puppy someone called about. Do you want to foster so he doesn't go to the shelter? Naive, never fostered, never did rescue. I was like, yeah, sure, bring him over. And he was dying. He was a bait dog in really gnarly condition. I had no clue what I was getting myself into, but we committed, nursed him back to health, and after that, dogs literally started finding me. I opened my garden gate 2 weeks later, and there was a starving lab just looking at me, and I was like, I guess this is my life now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just kind of snowballed, and then we became our own organization the more I learned, and there was a real need in the community, so I'm just grateful to be able to do this.
I expect this whole process anything but typical, but what happens in a, quote, typical rescue situation, start to finish? What do you have to do?
Sure. So most of the time we get a call about an animal in distress. We don't typically pull from shelters. We pull the animals that don't have the resources to get help. So if one's been hit by a car for an emergency, or a lot of times it's a dumped or stray. So like yesterday, for example, I got a call from someone in Morgan City saying this puppy showed up. I don't know what to do. There was no animal warden on duty because it was after hours. So I drove out there and we pick him up. We only have a few fosters. We're foster-based. We have no facility. So we find an emergency foster to get them off the street for the night, and then we make plans. So today he went to our vet and boarder, where he's gonna get checked out, get up to date on shots, get neutered, and then we post for a long-term foster until we can either find an adopter or a rescue partner to send them to one of our partners, either in the New Orleans area, we work with some bigger rescues, or out of state to other organizations that have a larger adoption base in areas where overpopulation isn't crushing like it is here, because they have spay-neuter control.
So you have vet or vets in the area that will volunteer their time?
We work with one vet in New Iberia, Dr. Dupuy. He wonderful, always squeezes us in. And then we have Dr. Sachs in New Orleans, where he boards and treats the animals. And then Aviary Vet Clinic in Metairie is a huge help. They have several of our animals in boarding and get them all taken care of. And then our emergency clinic, and for anyone who ever needs emergency help, there's a wonderful 24-hour clinic in Lafayette called Lafayette Veterinary Care Center. So when we're in a real pinch, super emergencies, we drive straight to Lafayette and get their help.
And we should mention there's no sanctuary here in the area. So how much work do you do trying to find a long-term foster home for the animals you rescue, or do they just go straight to sanctuaries out of state?
That's really hard, and that's why a lot of ours are in boarding, which is really stifling because we're constantly having to raise money for boarding that could go to other things. Fostering's difficult. It's not for the faint of heart, right? You're taking in an animal that's not your own. It has to get along with your dogs, your kids, which, by the way, we always make sure it's a good fit. But a lot of these animals have trauma and didn't come from the best situations, so we can't necessarily just throw them into someone's home. So yeah, we use boarding a lot more than fosters. It's not easy. That's one of the hardest parts of what we do.
Okay. All right, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to Voice of the Coast. We're talking with Alyssa Muse, Director of Aviary Creature Rescue, which is not only nonprofit. Is there any funding at all, any official source of funding, or are you all on donations?
We're all donation-based right now. We're hoping to get a grant writer on board pretty soon. I'm just mostly a one-woman show with the organizational aspect and the networking, so I haven't had time. But yeah, we do stuff like this. So through my art studio, I raffle off a lot of art to raise money, or we'll get local businesses to make donations, put raffles together, or in emergency situations, we legitimately just throw up a post and say, guys, we're in a bind, please help.
Okay. Talking about what we've got here, a couple of...
Yeah, we have a couple hand-painted tumblers, all tiger themed. We have this really nice Arctic ice chest, and all three of them are on raffle right now.
There we go.
You can win the bundle together. And you can find that information on our Facebook page or our Instagram, Aviary Creature Rescue.
Very nice, great. And you do the artwork?
Yes, it's all my art.
Put the Go Tigers on there, cool.
Thank you.
All right, you're going to raffle these off Friday?
Yeah, Friday at 7 p.m. we'll do the drawing, so you have until then to get your entries in. $10 an entry, no limit on entries.
All right, very good. Now, we're working towards a sanctuary.
Yes.
Sanctuary which will actually be out of state, right?
Yes, we're looking. My dream, the vision, is some land, probably Carolinas, Tennessee, somewhere where I don't have to move all the animals when a hurricane comes through. And it's going to be an all-inclusive sanctuary where my art funds the rescue, and I live on the property with these animals, not just dogs, cats, but farm animals in need, hoarding cases, just really a big ranch sanctuary.
How far along are you with that? Are you just at the
we're at the
raising the money,
stage.
or
Yeah.
do you have a target in mind, a specific piece of land, or?
Not yet. We haven't started scouting land or anything like that, and I actually haven't announced this yet. But through my studio, I have set up a fund, and 3% of every single thing that I sell, every wedding booking, every art commission, automatically goes into a creature fund. So I started it with a $10,000 goal right now, and we have a couple hundred in there just since the beginning of the year. So it's a start.
Unfortunately, we're probably a few years away from making this happen.
Oh
right?
yeah, but it's a 10-year goal. We got this.
Okay, all right. Now you mentioned you don't handle cats. Carla Cates.
Right. We
her
have
group
a
does
partner in the area, another nonprofit, ARC, Advocate and Rescue. They primarily handle the cats in the area. It's just there are far too many animals for any one organization to do it all.
Right.
So,
what are you capable of handling?
honestly, you call me about a creature and I'll show up. And if I can't handle it, I know who to call. We have a lot of contacts. So I have tackled pelicans in a loving and gentle way. I've rescued owls, wild rabbits. Yeah, you name it. We've been called out for otters, ducks.
Lots of dogs, obviously.
Lots of dogs, primarily dogs. Yeah, any creature will show up.
What about somebody who just says, "I've got a dog, I can't, or a pet, I can't handle it. I don't want to just, excuse me, I don't want to just turn it loose. Would you come get it?"
So that's a really difficult one. Owner surrenders are a huge problem. So we always try to convince them, please, can you, it's already yours. You already have this creature. Can you try to keep it safe? We'll try to network. So we'll throw a post up and try to find a rescue partner. But right now, rescues are all in the same boat. We're all overwhelmed, under-resourced across the board. I mean, you call any shelter and they tell you we're full at capacity. And they kill to make space. So we try to ask people to hold on to them. And if not, then unfortunately, the shelter is a better option than that animal being turned loose. I would rather see an animal euthanized than being dumped to die of starving or getting hit. That's the reality.
All of your help is voluntary. What about people that would like to volunteer?
Yeah, we're always welcoming new volunteers, whether that be admin support. So we need folks handling our records and keeping track of what we're working on. We need drivers to get animals to and from spay-neuter appointments or their regular vet appointments or meat transport for out-of-state partners. We always need fosters. That's a huge one. We say if you can't adopt, foster. If you can't foster, volunteer. If you can't volunteer, donate.
How do you vet somebody who calls you up and says, "I'm willing to foster"?
We have an application process. So actually our fosters go through the same app process as an adopter. But we do home checks, vet references, personal references, online stalking to make sure there's nothing sketchy on your Facebook. Yeah, and once they're approved, then we find an animal that best suits you and your lifestyle. We play juggling dogs a lot. When things don't work out, we have to shuffle around and figure it out, but yeah.
And what's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
Facebook. Our Facebook at Aviary Creature Rescue, or Gmail, Aviary Creature Rescue, one word, @gmail.com.
Thank you very much, Alyssa.
Yeah, thank you so
Appreciate
much.
you coming in. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time on Voice of the Coast. Have a great evening.